presentación preparada en inglés, más o menos, con mi inglés, más o menos, pero no he conseguido que la organización al final lo actualice ni siquiera en el PDF que llegó ayer. Bueno, pues las cosas del directo. ¿Algún problema con que sea en inglés? ¿Algún problema con que sea en español? ¿Alguna preferencia? ¿Vamos con ella en inglés? Perfecto. Vale. ¿En español? No. Igual hay que cerrar un poquito las cortinas, como comentábamos, sí. De todas formas, no hay mucha imagen, hay más texto que otra cosa, pero pensábamos que las vistas molaban más que lo que vais a ver aquí. Bueno. Vamos allá. Buenos días, good morning. My name is Gerardo Ponte. I've been involved in agile methodologies for the last, I would say, 1 year and a half. And I also would say that more than involved, I've been deeply immersed in these methodologies as a Scrum Master of a line, of a team, within the digital banking unit at BBVA. Okay, so I'm very happy to be here, sharing with you my experience and my thoughts about these methodologies. So, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, my talk today is about one of the biggest challenges in the transition from the waterfall traditional to agile methodologies when it comes to the big companies or corporations. I think this is important. This is something you must have in mind. The scope of the talk is really about big companies, okay? But we are going to give some clues that are completely in the scope of the team. This is the reason for this talk to be in this track. Okay, so I think that during the last 2, 3, depending on the company, probably more years, we've seen the big companies bring in, or at least giving a try to the agile methodologies. And this is a step that has been mainly sponsored by the IT unit. So the business unit is to some extent an invitee to this process. And I don't know if this is the reason, but the point is that the people at the IT unit, developers, basically, have this transformation process easier, or they take it in a better manner than the business guys. So my goal here with this talk is giving you some hints, some tips, some recommendations that have come either from my direct experience or the experience of other colleagues, Scrum Masters or Product Owners in the area I mentioned before. Some tips about how to break those barriers, how to make easier this transition for the business guys. The business guys that initially belong to a business development area in the company, and they are our potential product owners and business analysts. By the way, I will focus the language, at least in the Scrum methodology, just because it's the one I've been involved, but I guess this can be applied to any agile framework, probably. So just a little bit of history to give you some context about my perception of what happened during this year and a half. I've worked in information technologies for 25 years now, more or less, and around 15 of these years involved in software design and development. Okay, So, and this is my perception of what happened during the last 25 years when it comes to the relationship between the business guys, let's call them this way, and the technical or technological guys, the developers. During the 19th, the corporations were still working on automating process. It was not really that much of creating new products or services, but automating what was still working. And there used to be units called organization that had to talk to these guys in IT called at that time sistemas. The relationship was really close. Those guys from organization used to come to the IT premises, and we discussed the requirements, and of course they came back to their buildings, and it was waterfall. I'm not going to mention nothing related to Agile at this point, though I know is the moment where these methodologies are born. It was a close relationship that during the 2000s, by some reasons I really ignore, but probably some consultancy firms out there, someone created a layer between the software developers and the business guys. I call them the IT representatives. Their profile, I would say, is in between of the business analyst and a technical analyst. But the point is that the relationship, the direct relationship between developers and the people responsible for defining the products was completely, there was a wide gap, okay? Now we enter the 2010s. I'm not saying we are agile still, by no means, but my point is that this is the point when we start to think on try these methodologies and start working in a different way. A little bit more context about what we have or what is related to these business guys. How is the environment where they are really making their daily work nowadays? First of all, they are used to work in hierarchical structures. The important point here for me is that this blurred a little bit the accountability for what they are doing, just based on the fact that as a product owner, maybe I'm not doing what I think I should do, I'm doing what I'm told to, okay? Secondly, a long distance to the final client. This is a clear issue in the big organizations. I mean, between the person designing the product and the end customer, there is a lot of people, there's a huge commercial network, there's a huge operation network, and there's not direct relationship at all, okay? The third one is those guys work in a building separate from the guys in IT. So again, we may have an issue here. I'm not saying, by the way, like in the case of Agile I mentioned in the slide, in the previous slide, that this is exactly this way. This has been changing because the new social trends, I mean, collaborative tools, collaborative work, open spaces, flatter structures, this is coming to the companies, even to the corporations now. But this is the mindset of our, or the environment for the people that is working business development in big companies. So, with all this context, here I want to share with you my thoughts about what are not exactly what the waterfall advantages are for the business guys, but they had to get accustomed to work with us according to all this environment. So these are the characteristics I think that are typical or common to the comfort zone of the potential product owners and business analysts for our agile teams. First of all, pace of work. What do I mean? Well, to me it's essential that in waterfall they perceive they have a one shot or a single shot, just one opportunity to deploy their product. So they will define the requirements for the product, they hand the requirements over the developers, probably over the IT representative, not exactly the developers, and lose control. They get out of the equation during the process of developing, building the product, and they come again to the scene at the end of the project to test, to deploy, and so on. So due to this single shot, to this unique opportunity, they will tend to grab all the requirements to the product. So it will take for them as long as necessary as they think they require to design the product. Okay, it's almost an endless process. The second one, I mentioned it before, is the single point of contact. This IT representative is very convenient. To anything related to my product, I just have a person to talk to. The third characteristic, if you allow me the term, free format. They may describe their requirements the way they want. There's someone that will make the translation into the specific formats, if any, at the IT department. Okay. Business language only area. This is clear to me. Yesterday I had the opportunity to attend a talk where someone highlighted the importance of the developers learning the business language. In this case, these guys are not accustomed at all to technical terminology. Back-end, front-end services, whatever, is a hollow in their minds. The two last points in my reasoning are more open to discussion if you want. Temporary and accountability. This is related to the single shot I mentioned before and the long process waterfall creates for them. Since they define the product till they receive the product for testing, deployment, and so on, they are not really accountable for the process. The process is measured, the progress of the process is measured in terms of the output, and the outputs are things that are provided by the guys at the IT unit, by the developers. And last but not least, fuzzy accountability. Well, this is probably more related to the size of the company. Okay, we have big companies, and when it comes to deploying, probably months after the finishing of the product, we can deploy it to the market, and we have the end user trying the service or the product. If it is a successful release, that's great. Everyone is successful. But if the release fails, we have a problem. Who's responsible for this? It's a part of the environment. So here is where really my presentation starts. I will share with you some hints, and this is my first one. This morning, however, I realized that probably this I shouldn't go through it, or I will do it very quickly, by the reason that, to some extent, in big companies, usually when you bring Agile into the scene and start the change management, this is part of the process. You make some training, let's say formal training, but you also have coaches accompanying the process, close to the Scrum Masters, close to the developers, and close, of course, to the business guys, the POs and the BAs. But I think that it makes sense to give a sense of, how to say, what will they gain, the business guys, with this change? I think it's important to highlight at least two points. The ownership of the product. We must sell our business guys that they should feel like artists, because they will be during the whole process. They should be able to shape the process iteratively. I think this is relevant because they will be able to live more intensely, more intensively the process of creating the product, right? The second one, cooperation. I would say that they are quite accustomed to work alone, and they are quite accustomed to make guessing about how the product should be or the service should be. I think it's important at the very beginning of the process to point out that they will have the possibility to co-create with the client more easily than in waterfall approaches, just because it's iterative, and the collaboration with the team. They are not lone rangers anymore, if you allow me the expression. They will count on a team around them during the whole process, and they will have the opportunity to share opinions. I think this will really change their lives, at least their professional lives. As I said before, this morning suddenly I realized this is part of the coaching, and in big companies this is very common. This is more into the specific points related to the whole process of creating and refining and taking care of the product. Okay. In my opinion, Agile gives us an opportunity to make things well since the very beginning. So, how do they usually work nowadays before the adoption of Agile? The product owners, how do they design their products? Probably they pick requirements from many other units in the company, legal, whatever, marketing, whatever, and they bring a single packet of requirements and they pass it to the developers. I think it's an opportunity to introduce new ingredients. The first one, to me, very, very relevant, the design research, design thinking, if you want. Our product owners are accustomed to work based on market research techniques, which are oriented to create value to the organization, right? My advice, I would say, my tip, my hint, my whatever, is change the focus to design research, change the focus to creating value for the customer. The side effect, it's clear to me. It will create value to the organization, but focus on the customer, not focus on the organization. I think this is very relevant. And the outcomes at this phase are really powerful. You have insights, you have customer journeys, you have prototypes, and all these will be very useful in later phases. My second point here, story mapping. Well, I think this is basically almost a standard or a mainstream for us in the Agile methodologies as part of structuring the product in some way, slicing the product. My recommendation here, get all end users involved. Those areas they were picking up requirements from in different meetings, different sessions, different times, bring them all together. Let them give their opinions, not only about the specific point, the legal aspects of this product, not. Let them give their opinions and help the product owner to hear everyone. I think this is also important when it comes to the deployment and operation on the product, having those stakeholders so involved since the very beginning. Third point. Backlog prioritization and MVP. This tip may sound a little bit weird, but I think it's also very relevant. Otherwise, it wouldn't be here. We have our backlog. We have been able to slice the product into features, maybe into user stories. We need to define our minimum valuable product, our minimum marketable product, right? This is something our business guys are not accustomed to do at all. It's just a single shot, is everything or nothing. It's a little bit scary. What do I get rid of in this process? I think it's very, and we'll have resistance against this idea. This is my tip. Show figures of the current usage of the applications in the organization. Those are figures we probably have. We know we have created, I would dare to say, monsters, software monsters with a lot of functionalities, and it's not just about talking Microsoft Word and 84% functionalities misused or never used. It's just talking about what we've done, what we have built and released in our company. In companies where we may have hundreds or even thousands of applications, not only, of course, in the market, I mean for the clients of the company, but even for the employees, for internal users. They will be amazed by the figures, and I think it will help them to understand that defining the MVP is really valuable, regardless of the project of the process itself. Well, in fact, it will help them to be able to say to their stakeholders, okay, maybe this is not part of the MVP, but it will be, and I create the roadmap, okay? Vision and roadmap. The vision probably we have it since the very beginning, okay? But it's very important again to put our MVP at least in an aspirational time frame, okay? My point here, this is the right moment to bring the developers on board. In my opinion, there's a huge change between what we did before, this handover of documents through this IT representative to the developers, and the opportunity to bring the team to a room and share with them the vision and the roadmap of the product, right? My tip here, storytelling, really, really powerful, and it is related with the design research. Bring the professionals, the researchers and designers that work in the first step, bring them, because no business development guy will be able to beat the passion, a professional in those areas will give to the developers. So the more information you give the developers, the more involved they will feel. Reversely, it will be great for the product owner to feel the team is really involved with the product. Okay, let's move forward to the next stage. Okay, the next step would be building the product, okay? But I would like to highlight a point when we have a good opportunity to take our potential or real, actual product owners and business analysts by hand. We know that the environmental factors are something that are usually out of our control, right? Now I'm putting on my hat of a Scrum Master. There are certain aspects of the whole change that we cannot control and we cannot activate. This is a good example, relocation. As I mentioned before, these guys are accustomed to be in their own building with the IT guys in a different building. Now we have to put all them together. And chances are that we will take the business guys out of their current building and to the IT building, or in the best case, all of them together in a different building. Reason being that it's easier to move 1, 2, 3 people than to move 5 to 10 people if we attend to standards, right? So it's just a matter of cost. You won't take the IT people, the developers, where the product owners are, but reversely. So it's a point of anxiety, maybe not the stress, but the environment is changed, and I think there is a good point here. I'm sure we would all would do it, but just to have it in mind, share your coffee breaks, share your meals if possible. Bring together in these informal times the team together with the PO and the BAs. Okay. It helps in creating team, in building the team, but it also helps in relieving this anxiety in product owners and business analysts. Next one, the language. As I said before, the language is a real issue. I've gone through that during months. It's amazing the faces you can see in product owners and business analysts when they start to hear about JavaScript or CSS3 or services, backends, or whatever. My recommendation here, my tip, explain that as difficult as it is for them to understand the technical jargon, is for the developers to understand the business jargon, the business terminology. I had also the opportunity yesterday to be in a talk where they mentioned this point. Developers must know this business language, but reversely, we must convince the product owners they must know something about the technical language. Even more, as a Scrum Master, you don't really have to, as facilitator, if you want, you don't really have to have a background, either professional or educational, neither in the technical field or the business field. The common case is that we have a background as Scrum Masters probably in technology, but it's not absolutely necessary. So who is in this advantage here? Is the Scrum Master, who must learn both languages. So I think it's relevant to point this out to the business guys. Okay? Another relevant point, in my opinion, the technical architecture. What do I mean here? Remember, we are talking about big organizations, we are talking about corporations. A lot of the stuff, when it comes to the technology, a lot of components, a lot of, and chances are that you won't be able to build your product isolated from the rest of the company. Chances are you will have tens or maybe hundreds of dependencies with external systems. Imagine you being in a room making a refinement session, developers and business guys, the whole team, discussing a feature, and it requires other departments to do something. It's stressful. For sure, for the PO and the business analyst, and probably they will think, what am I doing here in this discussion? My advice, bring the role of a technical leader to the team since the very beginning if possible. Someone who has at least experience, call it technical leader or technical analyst. The point is someone with experience about the whole organization, with contacts, with knowledge about what potential applications or software outside we are going to integrate with. If you cannot bring such a person to the team, at least create strong bonds. As a Scrum Master, create strong bonds with, let's call it corporate architecture, okay? The people outside responsible for taking care of the whole consistency or robustness of the system, of the company, okay? And now, once seen the environmental factors, let's move on to the next step of the process. Let's start building the product. Some advices, some tips about how to reduce the friction between developers and the business guys and the BAs and the POs, with the idea of facilitating this change management. Sorry, it's my timer. Facilitating the change management to these people. First one, it may sound again a little bit weird. Build, if possible, the first thing, a functional mock-up. At least in my experience, it worked very well. We are selling these guys. We are going to be agile. We are going to provide them with something tangible soon. You can think, oh, okay, we are wasting time, we are wasting resources. My rationale here, and I share it with you, we are very well trained to deal with risks related to the product, but probably not so accustomed to deal with risks related to the process. And I think that we couldn't imagine a biggest risk that a product owner that is a disbeliever of this methodology. So let's try to gain his trust, his confidence as soon as possible. It's just about risk management, and it's part of the methodologies we know about. It's creating value, but also reducing risk as soon as possible. Sure, you will find, the team will find opportunities to get benefits from it also. Maybe do some spikes or something else, so that not everything is wasted time or wasted effort, okay? Next one, Canon tools to support the process. My idea here is that we can rely on visible boards for the team. I think that they are great information radiators, but you have tools in the market. I'm not going to mention any. Sure, there are a lot that help you to manage your backlog, and that have specific tools for the business guys. Think that the business guys now they will have two tasks. They will have to think what is going to become next, and take care of what is being doing during the current iteration. Clarifying doubts, answering questions, making tests, acceptance tests. And these tools usually have their own Kanban with mirroring this process of bringing the features and user stories from the very beginning, from their birth, to the handing over to the team. Also, they have some other benefits, like quickly creating filters, for instance, to bring those features to a specific meetings, such as refinement meetings or planning meetings. I'm not saying they must substitute the physical boards and the physical information. My third tip here: formalize the process of definition. What do I mean with this bullet? I think this is the point where I've seen more resistance, more troubles when it comes to this change from the point of view of the business guys. How hard it is for them to slice the product into user stories, basically, and how to define the acceptance criteria. It's really hard for them. They are not accustomed to do this. So I will tell you very briefly an experiment we ran with my team, sponsored by the Quality Enablement Quality Assurance Guild of the company, that consisted in trying to convince the business analysts to write down the acceptance criteria using Gherkin language. You can imagine, well, I was quite sure, but we had to try it. You can imagine it failed, the experiment failed completely. It was impossible to obtain such skills from someone who knows nothing about technology. The good news from the failure, the team was able to organize themselves and to define a process to get to the definition of the acceptance criteria. It's based on something, an idea that you can find in Scrum Alliance website by Ryan Thomas Hewitt, I think is his name, and the technique he calls in Three Amigos. I guess you don't need a translation for this. And it's just about working together, the business analyst, the QA tester, and the developer. So what my team decided is, first the business analyst write down describes the specifications of the acceptance criteria. Then they join together in a meeting, specifically the Three Amigos, and at the end of the process is just the QA tester who writes the acceptance criteria using this Gherkin language. It's really amazing how it boosts their performance in creating these user stories sprint by sprint. We are coming to an end. We are coming to the time of delivering the product. We have to manage the rollout. What do our business guys know about making a rollout? They know everything. They know how to make pilots, they know how to make tests, register, record bugs, take care of the end users. Don't worry, it won't take too long. And planning and executing the rollout. So what's different here? Again, the single shot is not the same. Rolling out once, that thinking about what to do with an MVP. With the traditional methodologies, it's just a kind of go, no go. Either the system works, the application works, or it doesn't work. If it works, let's go on. Let's move forward. In this case, we may have our MVP, our minimum valuable product working, right? But we have two options. We may choose to make the rollout to the whole potential population of users, or we can choose to improve or to refine or to tune our product to fit the customer needs. I come back to the point of co-creating with the customer. But to make this decision, I need information, I need data. This is something that is not mainstream in big corporations. Because of the single-shot approach, you can rely on surveys, for instance. I'm not saying this is not being doing nowadays, it's not being done, sorry, but as Agilists, we must take care, we must ensure we are creating an MVP that will provide us with data from our end users, so that I'm not saying it's not responsibility or accountability of the product owner, but it's also our responsibility. Second point that I think is relevant regarding the product delivery. Seek support and commitment from the team. What do I mean? Imagine crisis, a major bug, suddenly a major defect when you are in production. Maybe it's not caused by your software. This is a big company. There are a lot of systems interacting and integrated ones with the others. The PO will become really nervous at this moment. We have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. What is the perception of the team? Probably it's different. It's more tranquil, more quiet, because they know what is behind the scenes. So make this information, help the team make this information transparent to the business guys, okay? So it relieves the tension of the moment. I think I have time. I could mention here another experiment we've done a couple of times in our team that consisted in a little bit of micromanagement. During the crisis, if you want to call it this way, we decided to make a very short meeting before the daily stand-up meeting, just for everyone to know the situation of that specific issue, so that everyone could be better informed when it came to the moment of picking up the task of the day. Okay? Thank you. And my last tip of the day, allocate buffer to analyze the outcomes. Again, our business staff are accustomed to do things one by one activity at a time. Define the product, release the product, analyze the data, but this is not the situation now. Now they will have to keep the pace of the iteration of the cycle, and they have to define for the next iterations. They have to take care, test, and resolve issues of the current iteration, and they have to analyze the outcomes that provides all those systems we have put into work, embedding metrics and feedback and so on. Maybe they are not aware of this extra effort they will have to do. I don't want to open here the can of worms about the potential issue of balancing the people with business knowledge and the people with technical knowledge, and probably as a team they can resolve this issue, and technical people helping and so on. Those are organized teams, but someone has to have this in mind. This was just in time. I had gone very quick, but I think it's not the case. So just a summary of all the ideas. Of course, my main concern during the whole process was keeping the business guys on board, regardless of the outcomes of the iterations of the process. Okay, I think that was one of the main goals for me during the process, and most of these ideas helped me to do that job. I don't expect you to get a benefit from all of them, but you can cherry picking if they fit your cases. So that's all. I wouldn't like to finish my talk without thanking the organization committee for giving me this opportunity to share this experience with you, and to thank you for volunteering to be here with me today. So maybe we have time for some questions. Muchas gracias. y espero que nos veamos pronto. ¿Alguna pregunta? Sí.
¿Spanish o English?
Mejor Spanish. Y así bajo el nivel de concentración.
Suele haber bastante resistencia por parte de la gente de negocio para incorporarse en metodologías. Se explica porque suele ser el departamento de dinero que lanzan todo este electrónico. En tu opinión, ¿cuáles son las principales razones de la persona de negocio para no incorporarse dentro de eso? ¿Cuáles son sus principales?
Para mí las principales razones tienen que ver con las personas y tienen que ver con lo que explicaba al principio. Es que es un cambio muy fuerte para ellos. O sea, mi experiencia, lo que he vivido es que este cambio ha sido muy poco traumático para la gente de tecnología, para los desarrolladores, para los testers. Hay que ir enganchando las cosas, pero todo el mundo se siente relativamente cómodo. Al fin y al cabo, estas metodologías vienen de este mundo, pero para ellos es un cambio de paradigma total y les rompe completamente la zona de confort que yo comentaba al principio. Para mí ese es el principal problema. Una vez que tienes el soporte desde el top management, que es el ideal, alguien también lo comentaba ayer en otra charla, o sea, esto es bottom up y top down, pues luego lo único que tienes que hacer es demostrar que esto funciona. Pero ese primer arranque yo creo que es un tema de personas y por eso a mí me surgían un poco todas estas ideas. ¿Alguna otra pregunta? ¿Sí?
Yo quería preguntarte, la transformación ya dentro de una empresa,
Sí.
internamente parece, aunque haya gente que lo vea como un cambio demasiado fuerte, se puede llevar a cabo con los proveedores.
Con los proveedores internos, no internos. Bueno, normalmente los proveedores externos y, a ver, en este caso mi experiencia, los proveedores internos y los proveedores externos, si te refieres a gente que no está dentro de los equipos, al final se tratan más o menos de la misma manera. Como decía al principio, hay un montón de dependencia, es imposible. Ayer alguien en la charla de Les, a mí me encantó, pero realmente dibujaba un escenario de una empresa que probablemente es grande, pero donde todos son silos. En el caso de una empresa como esta, donde hay tanta interdependencia, no te queda más remedio que gestionar esas dependencias con anticipación. Entonces, sea un proveedor interno, sea un proveedor externo, el punto está en anticiparte en las iteraciones anteriores todo lo que puedas. No tienes más remedio. ¿Pierdes agilidad? Sí, pero es que el entorno no te permite otra cosa. No sé si tenemos tiempo para una más. Time over. Pues muchísimas gracias.